There are very few people in the nation of Malawi that have shaped our nation spiritually as much as the father of the person that is about to share next has. And as he has shaped our nation spiritually, we see the byproduct of that work in his own household, in the life of his daughter. And a kind human being, a gentle spirit, and someone that all of our community loves and respect. It is a real privilege for me this afternoon, I think it is afternoon now, it's 12:11, to introduce to you guys Mrs. Mala Kawali.
Thank you very much. That came too quickly. I thought Shadrach was coming. As you have heard, Mala is my name. I work with ABC Clinic, a hospital back in Lilongwe. I'm the director for the clinic, but I'm not medical. So that's weird. But yeah, that's how it is. And I know some of you have already started laboring. How is that possible? Yeah, so I will be talking about labels that we put on people that are culturally different from us. In general, people are complex. And as human beings, we are multidimensional and multifaceted. And then when it comes to human beings, judging human beings is hard. Knowing them, it's harder. Understanding them is the hardest. However, as human beings, we choose the easier way. That's judging people. Unfortunately, when we choose to do that, we judge them from negative perspective by giving them labels. We all know that we label things, we are able to identify things, objects, because of the labels that they have. But it becomes a challenge when you try to put labels on a human being who is physical, emotional, spiritual being, and you try to label them. And what labels have done really to human beings is really to frustrate them, demean them, and in the end, they lose confidence. As a child, I grew up in an environment whereby we were children from different countries: Malawi, Zimbabwe, Angola, Portugal, Mozambique, and USA. And the interesting thing was that as children from all these countries, we spoke one language. And our language was Chichepo-Tunglish. We combined Chichewa, we combined Shona, we combined Portuguese, we combined English. Like if you would want to communicate to somebody else, you would combine all these languages, and it was all good, and we were able to communicate. The intersection of culture was there. As children, it was beautiful. And sometimes you would be surprised because we would be there in a group of children, and then the parents would just be like wondering, and then you'll be surprised. Why are they surprised? Because in our own minds, we are able to communicate, we are able to interact. I call that experience of an innocent child a life without labels. As children, we are able to overcome the differences. We did not know that we had differences. We did not know our different cultural background. We did not know that we had different color. We were all people, human beings, that were able to interact. And one of the interesting things was that our parents were in seminary. They were all being trained to become pastors. And as children, you know, our parents had the same goal. So we spoke the same language. We understood each other. We had the same values. And then we moved back to Malawi. This was in Zimbabwe. I really looked forward to get back to Malawi, but something happened when I get back home. I started realizing that I was different. At school, people laughed the way I talked, the way I behaved. Like culturally, as Rejoice said, you know, if you are growing up in Malawian culture, there are things that will identify you as a Malawian. Things that you will do culturally. Like maybe you're in class, the teacher calls you, this is the teacher, you have to kneel down when speaking to them. When you're speaking to the elders, you know, you don't look directly into their eyes because that is perceived as being rude. So I had these weird habits that people didn't like because I had been in an environment where it was different. So people started giving me labels. And at that time, to add on that, I was the weakest in the family because I was very sick most of the times. And I would isolate myself. I wouldn't associate with the rest of the children because most of the times I would spend time in hospital and stuff. So it was really hard, it was difficult, and people started giving me labels. And those labels really, they were really frustrating. And sometimes I would have confidence, and then immediately the labels were put forward, it would just push me back. I would lose my confidence, and then I would just draw back, and then I would just be quiet. Trust me, I wouldn't be a person that would speak in public. I remember going to church like towards Christmas. As children, we would have the play of Jesus. The only role that I could do was to carry a stick with a star and just parade and come back. That was it. I was labeled that, yeah, I couldn't do anything apart from that. So, as I was growing up, as a child, I adapted to the culture. And then I went to secondary school, and then I went to college, and then, you know, I also started labeling others as well. So at the college where we were at that time, we had people from different countries. And I remember this particular time that, and actually I should say it happened several times, whereby people from other countries would be in our group, and then we'll chat, and then we'll speak our local language, and then they would just sit there and just watch us. And then sometimes they would beg us, say, can we be part of this conversation? Can you speak a language that we can all understand? And I remember by then being stubborn, being through what I had gone through. It was like my time to pay back. So I would really get angry with them, to the point that I remember at one time I was even in trouble with the Dean of Women because of that. I was so stubborn. I was like, this is my language. Nobody's gonna control me. Nobody's gonna teach me when to talk. This is me, and I'm going to do whatever I want. If you don't understand it, I don't care. So that was the kind of attitude. Our class was very small. We had known each other for 3 years. Rejoice was my roommate.
Yep.
For 3 years. So as time passed, we had known each other. We had known the weaknesses.
Oh, yeah.
We had known the strengths of each other. And then it was that time, I remember there was a time that there was just too much tension amongst the girls in our class. And then as we approached 4th year, we sat down. We said, girls, let's get this right. Let's sit down. Let's talk about this. We want this, you know, we want to finish strong. We don't want this anymore. We are tired of this hatred. And we decided to do that through labels. We said we're gonna tell each other the truth, the negatives about the other person. So what we did, we had some papers on our backs, and then we told each other, 10 of us, we said we should write the negative things about that particular person. And we did that. The results were disastrous.
Yep.
The relationships went sour.
Yeah.
It was bad. So that was one way that I learned about the dangers of labeling others.
Yeah.
It really ruined everything. Forwarding the story, I went to study in Norway. So it was a country with a totally different language. A language that I could not understand. I had to study the language first for the entire year in order for me to study in that country. So it was really like a movie, playing back my college time. Just the feeling of feeling helpless. I couldn't communicate. I had so much to say, but that language barrier was there. I couldn't do, and then the Norwegians would just talk Norwegian, and then I'm like, excuse me, what are you talking about? So that was really pretty a painful experience. And through that, being in a foreign country as well, it wasn't easy. In a school where you are the only black person, and I remember this particular time, like at a certain period of time, they raise funds for developing countries. So on this particular day, they were raising, this week, that particular week, they were raising funds specifically for Malawi. So I was very excited to be part of that project. I was like, yeah, it's time for me to roll it. I want to participate in this. So what was happening was they were showing everywhere else on TV, everything, they were showing about Malawi, poverty, and the extreme poverty, HIV/AIDS, and all sorts of things. And the moment, Malawi is a small country, people don't know about it. And then the moment you introduce yourself as a Malawian, immediately you would be dressed up in poverty. And poverty is very, very shameful. It's hard to deal with it. So you could see people really looking at you, even without talking, even without saying anything. They would imagine who you are. And then everywhere else you turn to, you could feel it. I'm dressed in this poverty. I'm dressed in this disease. I'm dressed in this environment. That was very, very painful and so difficult to overcome. I was labeled. People would assume and people would make conclusions. But I had to carry on because I had no choice. I had to do it. I remember this other time I was just tired. I wrote an email to my dad. I told him, I'm giving up. I'm coming back home. I'm quitting school. But he encouraged me and he said, Mala, you are a fighter. You are going to do this and you will do it. And actually he mentioned things that I didn't know about myself for the first time. So that was really very encouraging. And then I finished school and then I went back home. And then when I went back home, I ended up having a job at ABC Clinic. They had given me a responsibility whereby I was the first Malawian to take that responsibility. Because the rest of the people that had been in my positions were Americans, because the hospital is owned by Americans. So I was the first one. When I got in, there was a lot of tension. We had people from Australia, New Zealand, USA, Malawi, Congo that were working. But there was a lot of tension. People were labeling each other. So I came in as a to go in between these people. And all the time, these groups would talk ills of the other groups. And there was just too much tension. And I was like, really? How am I going to work in this kind of environment? Whereby sometimes you'd have entrances. This entrance for black people, and this entrance for white people. And you have to be a leader in such an environment. So one thing that I learned was to listen to people, to listen to both groups, to try to understand why were they fighting, why was there tension. So one of the things, there were so many things that were going on, but one of the things was I talked with the Malawians. I'm like, why is there so much tension? So they said, these people from the West, they just pass by. They don't want to talk to you. And then they just pass by and then off they go. That's how they are. They don't want to talk to you. We don't like them. How can we stay with them together? They don't want to talk to you. And then I'll go to the other camp and say, what's wrong with the Malawians? And then they'll say, Malawians, when they come to work, they start chatting, they are always talking. I'm like, okay. So it was a crash of culture. In Malawi, when you meet with somebody else, you just don't say hi, and off you go. You say, how are you? How are the kids? And how did you sleep? How about your grandmother? How is she? You know? Our friends, it was hi, that was it. So there was that kind of tension. The other group were thinking, these people, they don't like us. They don't want to talk to us. These people are like, oh, these people are lazy. They like chatting a lot. They ask so many questions. So I had to start explaining the differences and asking people to accept each other. That if somebody says hi, it doesn't mean that they don't like to talk to you any further. Just understand it's their culture and accept it as normal. Take it as normal. And I had to tell the other group that if people are asking you about your family, it's normal. Just accept it as normal. So little by little, the tension started, loosening up, and things started flowing. People got to know each other, and people would invite each other for coffee in their homes, and so that was something. Life of labeling others is human. We choose to do that. The point is, what's the motive? Why do we do that as human beings? Even when we know that it hurts. Even when we know that it can demean somebody. It can hinder somebody to flourish. Why do we do that? At the same time, there is what I call positive labeling of people, where you encourage them with positive words, where you decide to be a family with them, where you decide to bring positive impact in their lives. For a person to overcome labels in life is not easy. It's not easy because it doesn't really matter how long you've been fighting for it, how long you've gone through it. But the moment somebody labels you, at that moment, it brings you back the memories that you've gone through as a human being. Just yesterday, we had gone out for shopping, and then we went to Target, and then we were out. I was standing outside the shop, and then somebody came and called me all sorts of names and stuff, and I'm like, wow, God is reminding me of my topic of labeling others. But at the same time, just somebody else that I didn't know came, and then was like, really attacked the other person who was calling me, and then these people were fighting. I'm like, what's happening? So it was a good reminder that if you hear, if you see, if you witnessed somebody being labeled, just know that that particular person is discouraged. You are there to stand with them, encourage them, and bring them up. Thank you.
Wow. So let me start on a really light note and kind of like build this. Understand? Amongst it, start on a really, really light note and just kind of like work our way up in the questions. Americans tend to have problems with people from the Middle East. There's a lot of labels being put on our friends from the Middle East. What do we do?
No.
How can we help us? Help us. What do we do?
That's also built in probably in the culture. I remember when I was studying the language, we had people from 22 different countries. And in the course of that, we had people from Israel, people from Pakistan, people from Palestine in the same class. I'm telling you, I've never been in an environment, in a classroom where there's just so much tension. Sometimes we had to work in groups whereby they would say, okay, Africans be together, so we'll be together, North America together, South America together, and then they would say Middle East together. It was not possible. It was just, they would say, no, we don't, we can't. That tension. So it goes deep into the culture. And then for one really to overcome that, really needs God's grace. It's not easy.
Grace.
Need grace.
All right. I'm gonna make this personal. So one of my favorite friends and human beings is a guy that I'm mentoring. He's really like an incredible human being. His name is Hassan. Hassan is sitting at the back. Hassan is Afghan and Lebanese. He's Afghan and Lebanese. Unbelievable human being. Like unbelievable. Living in a country like this, trying to build a business, trying to build a life, what message do you have for him, for all the labels that he wears?
What I can say is that labels will always be there. That's one thing we should anticipate. And it's important to prepare your mind that this is coming. Don't take it as a shock. Always know that the labels are going to be there. But you can overcome them. As you live, you know who you are. These are the labels that people have given you. It's like seeing a person and then, or maybe I should say a room with blinders. You put the blinders, you can't really see through, but then you are basing your judgment based on the little thing that you are able to see. There is more in you because they've just covered you with blinders. There is more to you.
Wow. There's more to you. It sounds like a thing that God was saying to Adam at the beginning of creation. He's like, go ahead and fall asleep for me for a moment. Boom! From man, he created a woman. And he said, there's more in you. And every single one of us, that is a message. Read it. God is saying, I've created, and you think this is the end of everything? But I tell you what, there is something else in you. There are businesses in you. There are ministries in you. There are schools waiting to be built. They live inside of you. There are projects that will help people find life. There are wells that need to be dug. They all live inside of you. So don't forget that. I think that was quite brilliant. Thank you so much, man. Thank you. We're gonna now break out for lunch. It's about 12:39, and we will be here. We should be here. What time, Sean?
What time did you say this?
It's 12:39. I think
We're gonna be back at 30.
if we can be back by 1:30, you're gonna grab your food out the outside, and then feel free to wander out. If you are in here eating, make sure that you keep this place as serene as possible. I wanted to remind you guys again that we really want to make sure that the conference doesn't, we don't start this and end it for the first one and have a deficit. So you have, use the power you have, use the influence you have with people to make sure that we wipe out that $5,000. Otherwise, for me, I'll tell you what, I'd said, I was talking to Holly, my wife, Melissa, and we were talking about this deficit and the flights and all that stuff, and I was like, man, if it comes down to it, I believe in these guys so much. I believe in the stories that they get to share so much. I believe in what's being birthed out of here so much that I am willing to go in debt to put this thing out there. Personally, I'm just letting you guys know that. I will take care of it if I have to. But if in Chichewa we have a saying that says, Mutu mozi susen zadenga. Mutu mozi susen zadenga. What does that mean, Mama?
Sean, right there.
Sean, right here.
You can't carry a roof with just one head.
You cannot carry a roof just with your one head, right? So if there's another head here, another one here, another one here, another one here, we're much better off, right? Hey, thank you guys so much for being here and for your attentiveness. Have a great break, enjoy your lunch. See you here at 1:30. Thank you.